What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
BlueNote Fan Report. Oh my goodness, I got a good one out of your head, Justin.
How you doing, buddy? Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. I was, yesterday when at the end of the show, I said, okay, nothing else is going to happen. We'll see you when the schedule gets released too. Oh my goodness. Were we freaking wrong?
Yeah. I expected more. I expected some moves, to happen. I just didn't know how soon, and they worked pretty quick on this one.
I thought minor moves. You bring in a depth guy here or there, but not something that's noteworthy or not something that makes you go, wow. Pris Suter in some ways makes you go, wow, and not in and of itself. It makes you go, wow, because of what happened earlier in the day, or at least what was reported earlier in the day, that Leddy has been placed on waivers. Now, this can mean a lot of things, right? He could get picked up, contract goes elsewhere. Great. He could clear waivers, and they could assign him to Springfield, and he says, I'm not going. Well, then they terminate his contract, right? That's another thing. They could also trade him, even though he's on waiver, trade him and eat some contract. Or they could do the one thing that Doug Armstrong absolutely hates to do, and I respect him for this because it makes sense, and that's buy him out, right? I do not, in any way, shape, or form, see Armstrong buying out Leddy. Leddy he's only got 1 year left, and he owed $4 million. If you buy him out, I'm pretty sure close to $3 million in that. Whatever his buyout would go against the cap, and I don't know what his buyout is. He has a modified no trade clause, and that's the other issue. It's 16 teams, right? He has a 16. He can get traded to half the league. Problem is that many people may not want him, right? And that's where that kind of goes. Right now, according to Puck PD, we're about $2 million over the cap, right? The cap is 95. We're at 98, right? We're 2.5 over, but that's going to come down, right? You still got Krug, who's out, who's going to be out for the season. He's going to go on some type of LTIR. We know that. And that's great. That's fine. The Leddy move, I got to be honest, surprises me a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit. I don't feel like Leddy. You got to understand, Leddy got hurt in the second game of the season, or fifth game of the season, something like that. He got hurt at, I think, either the first home opener or the second game of the home, right? So he was out most of the season, right? and I'll kind of pull it up here in a second. Give me
I
just
kind of think.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, while you're pulling that up, I kind of think like with Nick Leddy, I'm not as down on Nick Leddy as most Blues fans are. Nick Leddy is not a top pairing defenseman anymore. I mean, I don't even know when he played in Chicago he was a top pairing defenseman. He's a guy now. He's older. I feel like he would have been okay on that bottom pair for the Blues, but obviously we went out and got Malu, and he's going to play, according to Doug. So,
Yeah.
That's going to push somebody out. And, Leddy was most likely going to be that guy. And especially after the signing that we had today, getting Suter, the move makes even more sense now because of what we paid Suter.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at this, right? For his game log. So he played 4 games, and in the home opener on October 15th, he got hurt against Minnesota. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't play again until February 4th. Right?
Yeah.
So his total games, they don't have it. It's 31. He played 31 games this season. Right?
Yeah. I will say
31 games, he had 6 points. Or 5 points. He was plus minus 6. Yeah. For what he's getting paid, he didn't perform. No, I get the injury had a lot to do with that.
Might I add?
Comments, man. We're missing your comments. Come on. Let's get your comments in here. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to walk on you.
No, you're good. Might I add that the Nick Leddy, I know he was out with injury and, he hasn't performed, how Blues fans and how people would expect him to perform, given his age and all that. But, honestly, I don't like to see any player injured, but the Nick Leddy injury kind of worked out really well for him because he was out and then he came back. And even though he didn't have the production that you would like for a guy of that stature, he came in and played fine. Him and Tucker were actually very good together. When Armstrong or not Armstrong, Montgomery put them together on the third pair, Leddy wasn't, having any issues. So Leddy wasn't being noticeable on the ice. And by what I mean by noticeable is usually.
Oh, he's freezing on me a little bit. Yeah, no, I get what he's saying, and Leddy did have a rough year. I get that. And we kind of have a glut at defense. Now, the one thing I'm going to pull Justin out of here for just a second to see if he gets his technical difficulties fixed. When I see him pop back in here in a second, he'll pop back in. And that's possible, and he wasn't ready to just let future considerations go. And I'm okay with. I agree with you, Chris, on that. I'm waiting for Justin to get back. Here we go. Because I really got something to talk about with Justin. Sorry, bud. You had some technical difficulties there, my friend.
No, yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah. Look, I know what you're saying. Leddy wasn't productive. $4 million. You're kind of what you're paying him. You're not getting that out of it. Chris Shockey says, I think Army shopped Leddy around and no one wanted to give anything up. And I kind of agree. I think that might be. And it sounds like you might not even have been able to give him up for future considerations. I mean, so you waive him and see what happens. He's going to get sent down. And my guess is a guy like that at 33 is not going to go to the minors. Right? He's not. Yeah. And I think that it's going to be the same thing that happened with Saad. I think his contract's going to get terminated. Right? He's going to agree, he's going to agree to terminate his contract and become a free agent. That's what Saad did. Saad surprised me. I'm surprised Saad went to a good team. I really am. But
I'm I wasn't. I think Sod still had a little bit left. He's a good bottom 6 guy for any
Yeah,
team.
but at the money he was getting paid, no one was taking that. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't think, and I'm surprised that he went down as much as he did, but he did drop. Jason Nichols, thank you for the thumbs up. Yesterday, I want to talk about this for a little bit, right? And I'm going to bring this up. Are you on X by any chance?
Yeah, yeah, I'm on.
That's right. That's how you found me. Duh. Okay. There is somebody on X called hold on. I'm trying to what is it? Locked on Blues, right? That account?
Yeah, locked. Yeah, I know.
You know what account I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, Haley
I
Taylor.
want to bring something up. I've actually tried to get them on the show, but they don't answer their Twitter that much, so it makes it a little bit harder. Like once a week they're answering, so it's hard to set something up when they're not really giving me that. So okay. I'm trying to find. There was a post, a post about Kairu, right? And it was basically about, the hate towards Kairu. Here we go. I'm going to see if I can kind of put some of this up here. Give me a second, right? I know it was.
I actually have it pulled up right now. So.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It goes here.
Yeah.
It's talking about here. This was the original post that she brought up. Let me post it on here. Add it to the screen. Okay, we're over on the side. This is the original post that she brought up. Okay, and guy's going to bring it up. It says, "I've spoken to Kairu numerous times, and he's a locker room guy. I don't get this narrative that he's a weak link of the team. He just had his best season, in my opinion, and he's great in the locker room. Just saying." And it was Blues Muse, another one of these accounts and I've reached out. Most of these accounts I've reached out to, but they want to remain anonymous, and you can't be anonymous on my show. I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah.
You can't sit there and hide behind that's not. If you're doing that, you're a keyboard warrior, and I can't handle. I don't want that. Right? He says, "I love Kairu, but I don't think he has." And this was about him getting the A if Falk got traded, right? And then this was the one that kind of set me off from CV Cards. He was a big part of getting a cup-winning coach fired. That's going to take some time to shake. This is what I remember last night. What I was talking about.
Yeah.
This is exactly it. This is exactly what I was talking about. There is a large portion of this fan base that has this extreme love affair with Barumi because he was the coach that brought us the cup. Okay, I get that. But you have to step back and look at what happened starting with the bubble playoffs. That team going into the bubble playoffs was the number one team in the Western Conference, and they didn't buy into that playoff. Whose job is it to get them to buy in? It's the coaches. Something happened. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I've only told a few people. I was told it in confidence. I've kept it that way. Unfortunately, I'm going to kind of leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
And oh no, this is another one. I saw that too, and I thought Rivers, as much as me and Jamie do this, and we've talked about it together. We're friends, but we do this. I had agreed with him absolutely on that. I agree. Rivers said that if you get rid of Kairu, what happens to Holloway? Those two seem to hit it often on the ice. I agree. I absolutely agree with that, right? This fan base needs to take a step back from Berube and look at what happened in Toronto this year, right?
Mhm.
Look at what happened in Toronto this year. Hey, Teddy, how you doing? Yeah, we're doing more shows. We're doing more shows. I got a new co-host, Justin, here. Why do you think Mitch Marner left Toronto for Vegas?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think, first of all, in my opinion, I'm still under the understanding that although he's in Vegas now, I still there's still part of me that believes that obviously he wanted it to work in Toronto, because he's from there, so that's what he wanted. But I mean, he went to a team that can contend for a cup. In Vegas. Do I think that they get there? I don't know. Only time will tell. Their playoff performance didn't leave much to desire, if I'm honest, this season. But we shall see.
Well, you're kind of on there. Think about this. This is a guy that, what's he doing? He's chasing a ring. He's chasing a ring because if he was chasing money, he goes to Anaheim. He goes to Chicago. He goes to San Jose. He goes to one of those teams that has all this money, but are 4 or 5 years away. He could have easily done that, and he didn't. He didn't. He left his hometown team. He could have given him a discount. He could have. That's his hometown team. But he left.
Uh-huh.
Why did he leave? He left because he saw a team that was getting defensive that he didn't fit in anymore.
Well,
go ahead.
I just, like I said, for me, I do understand like where we're getting at with like, oh well, he left and everything like that. But I just at the time of this where everything happened, I don't think he had much of a choice. I think more so Toronto faithful more so pushed out Marner than Marner actually pushing himself out. I think I just think that Toronto just had enough and they needed a change, and they finally decided to actually do the change, after talking about it for so long, and then they finally do it.
No, well, yeah, but here the thing, I hear what you're saying, but this also comes on, and Teddy says, hey, Teddy, the Vegas Golden Knights are building a juggernaut, having acquired Marner. Imagine him on a line with Eichel and Barbashev. Wowza. Yeah, they're also losing. They're also missing a huge defenseman in Pietrangelo that they've got to replace, and that's not going to be an easy replacement. But Berube is an older coach, and he's set in his ways. And unfortunately, his 1 year that he came in, and he had a really good team when he came in, made him think that his way was the right way. And unfortunately, it worked. It was, I hate to say this, and I love my team, but I think they caught lightning in a bottle. Though that lightning could have been held on to if the coach understood that. Now, we saw, a lot of people forget this, we saw how good this team could be with the right coach.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people forget that. And the right coach was not Berube. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I would assume Montgomery.
The year that Montgomery was an assistant,
mm-hmm.
This team scored, I want to say it was 109 points. We were third in the division, but we scored 109, second or third in the division, I can't remember, but we scored 109 points. And in the second round of the playoffs, we probably could have and should have beat Colorado. That team,
Oh yeah, 100%.
that team was destined to win another cup.
Oh, we've talked about it before. I even said it.
The 21-22 team, and sorry, I didn't mean to walk over you. The 21-22 team was destined to win another cup.
Yeah. Well, and I even said it a few shows ago, or whenever I said it. Me personally, that team, like you just said, was destined to win a cup. I personally think if Bennington did not get ran in 2022, we win. We beat Colorado, and we beat Edmonton. I do think we beat Edmonton at that time in the West Finals, and I think we play who they end up who was that year?
Tampa.
That was Tampa. We would have played Tampa, and it would have been a good series, and I think we probably would have beat Tampa because Tampa was really banged up at the time.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of on board with that. I really am. I'm gotta tell you, I'm kind of on board with that. I see that. When then Montgomery leaves, we give Ruby an extension. Montgomery leaves, and what do? They bring in a defensive assistant. If I'm Doug Armstrong right there, I go stop. Look, I get you like this guy. I understand that. But that's not who this team needs. We need a was not banged up. They were healthy the year they played the Avs. I thought they were a little banged up.
No, that was the third season in a row. They played hockey for how many consecutive?
They had a lot of hockey play. They had a lot of miles on the tires, right?
Yeah, they had
did have a lot of miles.
That was
on
the third year.
I don't think that they were beat up per se, but they had a lot of miles on the tires. I'll say that.
I can tell you for certain. I for sure remember that injury list that Tampa had, and that was a result of playing 3 straight years of hockey. Because when they played the Avs, that was their third consecutive time in the finals.
Yeah.
So they were banged up. Believe me, they were definitely banged up.
Yeah, I don't too much into it, But it's the point. What I'm trying to get at was Montgomery leaves and goes to Boston, and our team just falls off the map. Right? We fall off and what does Boston do? Montgomery goes to Boston, and what does he do? He wins the President's Trophy.
Well, he has a record-setting winning team. What is 62 win or 62 wins? Is it like that?
Yeah. So now there is something to say. Montgomery does have some issues in the playoffs. He hasn't. His system hasn't completely worked in the playoffs. I think it's getting there. It's going to. Right?
Yeah.
I really think it's going to. And I think you saw this season. He talked a lot about defensive responsibility, right? He talked a lot about it. And when you look at the team, and remember, I said this before, I think when they play this way, it's when they're at their best. And we absolutely saw it in the 3 games in St. Louis in that series, where they were offensively aggressive and defensively responsible.
Yeah, I mean, those games in St. Louis, they absolutely dominated Winnipeg. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, so
those games were not close.
So what this all gets to, where I'm trying to go with this, is to all you guys that think Berube is the greatest coach ever because he won the cup. You know what? You are absolutely entitled to that. Absolutely. But to sit there and say Kyrou, and this was the thing that got me, Kyrou was the reason that Berube left. No, Kyrou was the straw that broke the camel's back. There were a lot of other things that created that problem. That problem started rearing its head the year before, 4 games in, when Armstrong comes out and makes a comment that you almost never hear a GM make, but he makes it, and he says, Berube's not going anywhere. You've got to buckle down and play. He said that to the media. So the team who was unhappy with the coach went to the GM. The GM said he's not going anywhere. He just signed a contract. Figure it out. But he also told that coach, you got a locker room problem. You need to work on it. And he didn't. He did. And that is why he is gone.
Mm-hmm.
He had a chance to turn it around, and he didn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to walk on you there, bud.
No, you're good. I had a thought in my head. I think the one thing also that gets kind of lost in translation, especially with the 2019 Blues, and Berube and how he handled the team, and how the team constructed stuff. When I look at the the teams who have won the cup, I mean, yeah, you got like a juggernaut team in Florida who's done it, but I really feel like the Blues, they have been the last team to win the cup that showed that a defensive clinic trap could work, and I think since that point, that hasn't really been the case. The game is changing so much. Playoffs is a lot tighter, obviously, than the regular season. You saw it when it comes to teams like Winnipeg and how it's so much different for teams like that. But like things get tighter in the playoffs. But with how officiating is and how everything like that, these playoff games get a lot more offensive than what they used to be. So I think that's another thing. I think at the time, Berube's style worked just because of how tight the playoffs were at the time. And I think that's what made the Blues successful. They were able to be a defensive juggernaut in 2019, when it was needed, at the time.
So, yeah, okay. You're right. I see where you're at. And really, if you go back, you don't find a defensive team that wins the cup until you get to the early 2000s, maybe. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, in all actually, everyone says defense wins championships. Not in the NHL. Oh my goodness, not in the NHL. It's a different. In the NHL, your offense controls your defense so much more than any other sport. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you control the puck, the team that wins the puck control, usually, time on ice, time, puck control time.
Yeah, time.
Always wins the game. They're going to be, there's going to be anomalies in there, but the majority of it's not like football where you get a team that had controlled the ball for 8 minutes of the 60 minutes and won the game 21-0, right? You're not going to get a lot of that. If you control the puck, the other team can't score. You control the puck, you keep the other team's top guys on the ice. You keep the other team's top guys on the ice, they tire out. Third period where they're needed, they're not ready. They're not there. This is what happened to the Blues in Game 7. I'm gonna piss off Jason Nichols here. If you want to know why the Blues lost Game 7, it was because they started losing the puck control battle. Their guys were tired out. They'd been on the ice too long. And it opened up some really bad holes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you want to get down to it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not, like you said, I'm still sticking to my guns, on that, that whole thing with the whole playoffs. The Blues, to me, were the better team in that series through 7 games. I don't care what anyone says. But, when you're picking details and, what the Blues could have done better, yeah, that's definitely an aspect that they could have improved on. But I'm still sticking with what I said about, how I felt about that series as a whole.
Yeah. No.
I'm with you. They did a good job.
I'm not saying I'm with you. I'm just saying if you want, everyone points to everyone. A lot of people, and I say everyone, and I mean that the majority, point to Bushnavage. Say, well, if Bushnavage would have done this and if Bushnavage would have done that, fine. But in the end, when the Blues needed to control the puck, they didn't. And when they couldn't clear the puck and get it out of their zone, they had tired guys on the ice. You have tired guys on the ice, they're going to make mistakes. Tired guys that make mistakes in that situation end up in the back of the net. Oh my goodness, are we going to enjoy this one? Are you going to be able to do video, bud? Can you give me a I mean, I don't see you. I'm talking. So you can't see it. Are you going to be able to do video, bud? Or are you going to do picture, audio? Can you hear me, Lance? He's not there at the moment. Okay. I'll leave him up, see if he pops in. Hopefully he does. I want to hear from him. I do want to talk about the Pris Suter signing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When it first came out, it sounded like it was $2 million per, and I was kind of happy with that. But when you look at what it actually is, I'm not as happy as I was before. So he is getting 4.125 for 2 years, or 8.25 million for 2 years. That's a pretty significant contract. Now, he is 29. He has been in the league for 5 years, since 2000. If I got that right, 5 years since 2020-21. He has done it. He entered the league with Chicago. Then he did a couple of seasons with Detroit before he moved to Vancouver. Last year he played all but one game. He has 364 games played. He has 82 goals, 80 assists for 162 points. He's sitting right at his even in the plus minus, 76 penalty minutes. He is more an even strength guy. He has 5 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, so he can play either side of that. Right? He's pulling 16 minutes a game. Right? That's his average. 17-20 was what he did last year. Okay. I'm great, but I struggle thinking that that's a $4.1 million guy. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me...
I'm sorry, Justin. We got you, Lance?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but you got me.
Okay. Are you going to do audio only?
Yeah, today I am.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Justin. I didn't mean to walk over you.
No, you're good. I think for me, I think the Suter signing, it's not bad for me. The thing we got to remember is the center market. There's not much there. I mean, there really is not. I wasn't coming into this thinking that they were going to make some big splash with a second line center. I think obviously with the signing of Suter today, I think that pretty much solidifies that they're going to stick with Braden Shin as the second line center, which will probably anger Blues fans, but I think for me, I think people need to stop being armchair managers. I really, really do. I think you have so many times in the offseason where Blues fans are like, oh my God, Doug didn't do anything, or why is Doug doing this, or why isn't he doing this? I just, and then when he does something, we want to bitch and complain about it. Like, you got to pick and choose your battles. You got to pick what's on the market. You can't just pick whatever you want. You got to pick what's on the market.
I actually disagree with you a little bit. I think Pris is going to move to that second spot. You know that hybrid 2-3 line I was talking about? I could see that happen. There is only one There's only my question right now. So the question mark, the X factor in this, there's two X factors to me, right? Snugard is one, right? Snuggerud is one, and two is Dvorsky. Now, Lance, I know you have a very strong opinion on this. I do think, and you know what? I'll let you go with your opinion on this first, Lance, and then I'll talk. Go ahead.
On Dvorsky.
Yeah.
Watched him all year long. I mean, I watched almost every game of the Thunderbirds. Looked pretty good at the beginning of the season. Not good enough to make the team. Then kind of fell apart a little bit. Looked lost for most of the rest of the season in my mind. You can ask other people such as Michael Dante that watches them every single night too. And Dvorsky just isn't ready. Blues fans tend to have an issue with younger guys that come up and they give him a great chance. I mean, they just fall in love with him, and they want him to come up here early and they want him to be part of the team, which is great. But then once they start faltering, they don't go back and realize, hey, maybe this guy shouldn't have been up so soon. They start kind of hating on him a little bit. Like I remember 2 years ago, people thought Jake Neighbors should be traded. You've got to give these young guys a chance,
Yeah.
especially guys like Kyrou. Okay,
Yeah.
Kyrou was never told his whole career, because I know this for a fact because I played hockey, and there's guys that they go out there and the coach says just score damn goals. Do the best you can defensively, just score goals, and that's what Kyrou was told his whole career up through juniors, and then he got then he got up to the NHL, and then all of a sudden Berube wants him to be a strong 200-foot player. It's not going to happen. Playing defense as a defenseman is hard enough. Becoming a strong two-way player from a guy that's never been asked that, like Kyrou and like Dvorsky, it's hard to learn the defensive game. And we saw a huge improvement. I've never seen a young guy like Kyrou go from a minus, what was he, 12 or 13 to a plus 23. And I know people are going to say, oh, the plus minus doesn't mean a damn thing. Well, you know what? If it doesn't mean a damn thing, then why were you on to him for years for saying he's a minus 14, he's a minus 20, he's a minus 26? I think Dvorsky, once he gets it in his head, I've got to play some defense. I've got to do these things to be strong in the NHL. Could I make a career and not be strong defensively? Yes, I could. But he's going to be better, and it's going to help his offensive game too. Because when you play defense like Kyrou learned last year, that you're going to take some pucks away from people. There's going to be play defense. You're going to get some pucks. You're going to get some assists, and it's going to be very good for you. I like Dvorsky. He's just not ready.
Two things on this. First of all, in 22-23, Kyrou, best year in scoring goals, second best in points. He had 37 goals, 73 points. He was a minus 38.
Yep.
Year after that, he dropped down to a minus 12. He picked some up. He had 31 goals, 67 points. Last year, 36 goals, 34 assists, 70 points, plus 23.
Yep.
He is doing what he needs to do.
Yep.
There. Now, with Devo, here is my question. And yes, Devo was a center, but a lot of centers can play wing easily. Tage Thompson did it for a while, right? I asked this question. Is Tage Thompson, or not Tage Thompson, damn it, guy, is Dilbert Dvorsky right now a better player, even with his mistakes, a better player than Texier and who's the other guy? Oh, I can't think of his name.
Joseph?
Now.
Joseph?
Matthew.
Right? Because that's who he's replacing. Right? So is he better, even with his mistakes, than those two guys? One of them I say yes, one of them I say maybe.
I would say he's better than both of them offensively. Defensively, no, I don't think he is. And here's the problem. Do you want Dvorsky getting 22 minutes a game in Springfield and becoming a better player? Or do you want him getting 8 minutes a game up in St. Louis? because right now with the way the center position is, and I wouldn't ask him to play wing. I wouldn't, because that's just another position for him to learn. It's not like Shin. We saw Shin play the wing.
Mhm.
Shin can be a winger. In fact, I prefer Shin on the wing. Um, I like Shin on the wing much better, especially since he's gotten older. I don't think he needs to be a center. I would not be disappointed at all if the Blues said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to run with these four centers, and Shin's going to be a winger." I would not be disappointed in that at all.
I would be okay with that, right?
And
Just
here's another thing. I think this also puts in question Sundquist, because Sundquist to me is a much better center than he is a winger. And now that we've got this center depth, do they have enough playing minutes to keep Sundquist happy and to keep him productive? Because the only thing I have against Suter and Sundquist, they're two of the slowest players in the league. Now I've seen people that haven't watched him in Vancouver say he's got great speed. No, he doesn't. He is very slow. That's the only knock I have against him. The 4.1 million you were talking about earlier, I don't think that's that bad, especially since, like Justin said, centers always make more. That's why when Thomas signed for 8.1 and Kyrie signed for 8.1, I was shocked, because good centers are always going to make more. A $4.1 million center on the third line or the fourth line, and the guy can come up and play second if there's an injury, who gets 41 points. That's a pretty good deal in my mind for 4.1 million.
if he's on the fourth line, no, because I didn't like Fosco on the fourth line at 3.25. Why am I going to like him on the fourth line at 4.1?
No, he shouldn't be on the fourth line. Bukestad should be on the fourth line, and he should be on the third.
Okay.
If I could, yeah, I think that's where I'm placing them. Like I said, I think it's Bukestad fourth line, and then Suter and third line. And I do agree with you, Lance, about Suter's what. Yeah, he's not a fast player. But I did see I saw a lot of comments from Vancouver fans not happy that Vancouver let him go.
No, they're not.
Because I think the upside with Suter is I think he's a hardworking guy.
He is.
That's really gonna put in the effort that the Blues need. But for me, the contract, and I thank you for mentioning me and bringing up what I was saying. The market also, there's not much there, like in free agency right now when it comes to centers. You have to take what's on the market and what's given to you, and I think Suter is a very good choice. The only other guy that I could see that like you would have had technically not. I don't even think you would have had a chance at him. Would have been Nikolai Ehlers, and he would have been too expensive.
Somebody brought that up.
Yeah, because you know what he wants. You know what Ehlers wants?
What?
He's 29 years old, and he wants at least a 5-year contract at $8 to $10 million.
No.
Yeah, and the Blues could not afford. And Nikolai Ehlers has not. He hasn't done anything in Winnipeg to warrant. I mean, he's had a good season, but he hasn't done anything to warrant that type of contract.
Yep. Yeah. When it comes to it, Ehlers at $5 to $6 million, that's a good contract. Ehlers at $8 to $10 million, no, that's not a good contract.
No.
Fair enough. Now, when you look at the roster right now, I mean, you've got at least 3 or 4 odd men.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with them? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with Texier? What are you going to do with Joseph? What are you going to do with Sundquist? What are you going to do with Kessel or Tucker? Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I think they're going to do? I think Kessel and Tucker will switch off on the third pairing. I think Tucker will get most of the play.
Yeah, I think Tucker's performance last season.
Tucker's kind of gone above Suter. Yep. But do you think that it would be better for Suter to go back down and play there instead of playing every third game up? You
talking about Suter, the defenseman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Suter's not going to be.
Kessel defenseman.
Yeah, I was going to say because Suter's not going to be here.
Okay, Kessel's who I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, you're okay.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking, to me, right now, the waving of Leddy, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So tomorrow at whatever it is, 24 hours after they Blues placed them on waivers.
Yep.
The Blues can do two things. Well, the first thing they have to do is they have to assign him to Springfield.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Designate him for assignment to Springfield. Now, he has two options. He can either A, accept that assignment, or B, turn it down. If he turns it down, this is where it gets a little convoluted. The Blues could terminate his contract. Now, if they do that, that money's gone, off. Now, if he goes down to Springfield, guess what? That money's off too. While he's in Springfield, that money's off the books. It's only on the books when he's on the 23-man roster.
It's on the books if he has a one-way contract.
No, if he's on the 23-man roster. One-way contracts only mean, and trust me, I looked at the CBA to make sure of this. A one-way contract only means that you get paid the same whether you're up or whether you're down. For salary cap purposes, it is what's on the 23-man roster.
Yeah, and the Blues can't afford to pay him and be in Springfield.
Well, they may not, but if that's, I mean, if they does, well, that's the only thing they can do is because they can't.
Oh, I know that's what I'm saying. They've got to work something out because
Either that, or they turn around and buy him out. And I don't know what the buyout is. I don't know how much of the buyout, what the percentage of the buyout is.
It ain't going to be much. The guy that's going to cost you some on a buyout would be Falk. It's $3.5 million for a couple of years, and then $1.5 million cap hit for a couple of years.
Falk's not going anywhere. Falk's not going anywhere.
I don't think he is either. No.
Oh, he's Falk. Falk is not going.
Here's my thing, and God, love Blues fans. Bless their heart. For them to sit there and consistently say, our defense is so bad, we have to fix our defense. Our defense is the problem. Our defense is the problem. Our defense hasn't been the problem for a long fucking time, people. It hasn't. I've been telling you that. And it's obvious.
Okay. Do I agree? Do I agree with Blues fans who make the claim that it's an aging blue line and it hurts us in some way? Yes, but do I also agree that aging blue line also helps us in a way? I do, because you get that veteran presence, as you say, with that defensive. But that defensive core has not been as bad as everybody makes it out to be, giving their ages. I mean, I don't understand. For me, anyways, going into circling back into these trades, I get giving up Bolduc and how that made people not the happiest and all that. But these are the same people that got angry about that trade are the same people who complain that the defense isn't good enough. But literally, Doug Armstrong made a move to get a younger defenseman, a right-handed right defenseman that we need, and we're complaining. You gotta give something to get something. And
the thing about it is, if they can move on from Leddy somehow, whether it's giving him his unconditional release, and doing that, and somebody claims him, whatever way they can to get rid of Leddy, they won't have an old defense, because the only old defenseman will be Falk, and the next oldest one is Parayko. Parayko's what, 29, 30?
30. I think.
Yeah, so if you get rid of Leddy, you've got one old defenseman. And Guy, you and I remember this from a couple of years ago when we went round and round with fans, when the Blues were 8th in the league in defense, and they complained that the defense was the issue.
Yeah. The year that we had the best. I think that was Montgomery. The year Montgomery was the assistant.
It was. Yep.
We had the best power play percentage. We were the best overall. We were tied for the best overall special teams with the Rangers.
Yep.
We were top 5 in power play and penalty kill. Right.
Top 5 for a while. For a while there. Yep.
We were top 8 in. I think we were top 8, or top 5, or top 6 in offense, and top 8 in defense.
It was similar to that. Yeah.
Oh, you forgot about Fowler. Fowler's in there too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Sorry.
yeah. I was just
Yep, I
about to say
forgot about
But
him.
Fowler's playing as if he's in his prime. At least it looked
Yeah,
like
he's a
last season.
33-year-old defenseman playing like he's 29.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what? I'll take that.
I'll take it.
Right? Fowler got rejuvenated
Yeah.
in St. Louis.
It's too bad the Blues can't tie him up on a good contract now, and he's gonna because he come out after the year and with his agent and him, he said that I don't know if you saw this guy or if you saw this, Justin. He said that he's gonna make his decision in February whether he wants to re-sign with the Blues and keep playing or if he wants to hit free agency. He's gonna talk to his agent in February, and he said if he's playing at a high level like he did last season, he'll either want to sign with the Blues for a couple of years or he'll want to hit free agency. He hasn't decided yet.
Well,
I
he
think
did say that he wanted to stay in St. Louis, that his wife liked it, that his family liked it, and that he enjoyed playing with the team.
Yeah,
Right.
the bad thing is, guy, he wants a multi-year contract of several years. And I think when guys get to be 33, 34, 35 years old, when it comes to defensemen, the most you want to do is 2 or 3 years. You don't want to be giving a guy like him 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I could give him 3, maybe 4. I could push 4. I could push 4. And Chris says this, he hasn't played a lot of extra hockey. He hasn't. He hasn't been in the playoffs a lot. So he's still got he doesn't have the mileage on the chassis.
He's played a lot of minutes. He's played a lot of minutes in Anaheim.
Yeah, I think for me, I obviously we have to see how it works. It's kind of like Holloway and Broberg. We have to see how they perform this season. Obviously, when you go to a new team, you always have a bump. You always have a new team bump. It always happens. I think every player usually suffers from a new team bump. So we have to see if that continues. But as for Cam Fowler, I mean, he played absolutely spectacular. I mean, he has to be one of the better pickups around the whole league last season for any team. So if he continues that, I mean, God, I would love to keep him here, but like Lance said, I think those contracts are harder to negotiate. But it was kind of like what I was saying to you, Guy, about how I take pride about being a Blues fan because I think the Blues as a team and an organization pride themselves on being a place that people want to play.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. We brought that up, how St. Louis is one of those teams where agents call St. Louis, not the other way around. Agents call St. Louis gauging their interest in their player, not St. Louis management calling agents gauging the player. I mean, I'm guessing Doug Armstrong gets a lot more calls than he makes, right? So I looked it up. Cam Fowler has 15 years in the league. He has played 1,042 games. He played number 1,000 with us, right? Unfortunately. He has played, and I'm going to make sure I get this right, 24,108 minutes for an average of 23:08. I do say that's a lot of minutes.
Did you
Kind of
just
However,
did you just
St. Louis, the 51 games in St. Louis, he averaged 21:42. They cut his minutes back a little bit. And I mean, they've been getting cut back the last 3 years. His last 2 years with Anaheim, they were cut back. Or 1 year with Anaheim, they were cut back a little bit. They were down to 21:04 with Anaheim in his 17 games there. But he's been getting cut back the last couple of years. So, okay, I get it. I still think with him, I would go 4 years if the money, like the AAV is right. You know, if the AAV is in a good spot.
Here's the only problem with it. Justin Falk is what, 36, 37 now?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at
something like that, mid 30s, later.
3 years ago, 3 years ago,
33.
3 years ago, he was one of their best defensemen, if not their best defenseman overall. And look what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. If you sign Fowler to 4 years, 2 years from now, let's say that something happens and all of a sudden he's a bad player like Falk. I mean,
He's-
you've got to be very careful with these contracts.
Hey, Lance, might I interrupt you? I'm sorry. I know you're on a heater right now because I agree with you. It's actually funny that you bring that up. Everybody talks about Falk and Falk is practically the whipping boy. And do I think Falk has been just out of this world spectacular? No, but I like Falk. I think Falk did some good things in the playoffs this season. I don't think he was as bad as everybody made it out to be. But it's funny how fickle every fan is when it comes to certain players. Like, everybody was praising this guy. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Justin Falk is so great. I love him." And then it only took a season or two, and now he's just the whipping boy. And I don't get it. How can you be so fickle?
We need a whipping boy because we as a fan base, for some reason, need a whipping boy.
Yep.
And we are so thick. Look how quick the fans turned on Tarasenko. Look how quick they turned on Tarasenko.
Well,
the media fucked that up.
Not the. You know where it all started. I'll blame him, and I'll blame him till the day I die.
Not Coric, the other one.
His initials are JR.
JR, yeah. Right.
And you know what? Hey, when I called him out on that, you know what he did?
He said, I remember this. I remember exactly what he said. They never disputed it.
Yep. And you know what else he did? He blocked me.
Oh, he did?
Yep.
Right. Chris Shockey says, the only issue I have with Falk is that he waits too long to transition to forward skating and guys get around him. Fair enough. Kyrou is still a whipping boy. Which to me is absolutely foolish. Well,
it's insane.
We talked about that. We've talked about the Locked On Blues X post from earlier. The guy, the CV Cards fan that Kyrou's the reason Nick Berube got fired.
Yeah, I know.
He was not the reason. He was the straw. I think at that point, Armstrong saw Pietrangelo leave, Schwartz leave, and Perron leaving. All three of them leave in a way that hurt the Blues. He saw
Berube didn't have the room anymore. I think that's a good way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I said Berube didn't have the room anymore. I think that's just how to put it.
I think some fans today suffer from what I called Craig Berube syndrome, to where they've had it pounded in their head so much, and then we won a cup with him pounding it in the fan base so much that every player has to be a 200-foot player. So because we won the cup with Berube, every fan still thinks that.
And it's not true. It's not true at all.
It's not true.
Kyrou, when Kyrou's giving up the puck, and this is the part of this that I don't think people understand. 90% of the time that Kyrou's giving up the puck, it's because he's got no fucking help.
Yep. He's way ahead of the play. He's way ahead of the play, and everybody's behind him.
Am I wrong?
No, there's so many times he's way ahead of the play, and nobody's around him, and that's one thing that caused friction between him and Berube, because Berube would tell him, wait for your guys, and then he'd tell him, drive to the blue line, and then he'd tell him, don't drive to the blue line, stay back for defense, wait for your guys. And, when you got a young kid like that, that's so flippin' confusing.
Right?
Well, and
I'll never forget the press conference. I'll never forget that press conference. Kyrou had 3 points. I think it was 2 goals and an assist.
Yep. He won the game for him.
And Berube sat there, and the last thing out of Berube's mouth was, but he coughed the puck up twice.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was pretty good tonight, but he really needs to work on it. He coughed the puck. And I'm going, he just won the game for you.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I think you were right, I think it's kind of strange. I don't think maybe to the extreme, but like Berube has the old school mentality, just like a guy like John Tortorella. Maybe not to that extreme, but more so old school type of style of coaching. But yeah, he just didn't have the room anymore. Hockey's changing, and like I was saying earlier, I think that's kind of why we see Kyrou have so much success with a guy like Holloway. I mean, he matches his speed, he matches his intensity. That's what he needed. When Berube was here with Kyrou didn't have that type of player around him, to help him.
Yeah, well, here we go. Berube made that statement. I do remember this. Berube said, I wasn't a goal scorer and I don't know how to coach them. And that's why he got Montgomery. Then when Montgomery goes, what does he do? He brings in Craig McTavish, an offensive guy. That was the stupidest thing you could have done. McTavish doesn't even last a year here. We had nobody to coach offense. And this is what happened with Bannister. Bannister didn't coach offense. And this is why I'm not going to get on Bushnevich the way everyone else does. Because in my eyes, Bushnevich is the reason that Montgomery's here. He was the straw. He was an absolute straw when he came in and said, because he's not a guy that speaks to the press. I don't know how you're not going to win games in this league 1-0, 2-1. We don't even practice the offense. Bammo. Bammo, bammo, bammo. And I'm making everybody run away.
Did we
I got a lot of people. Sorry, Justin, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, man. You go ahead. We're on this topic. Go ahead.
I've been discussing the Berube topic with Maple Leafs media and some fans up there, and they just don't understand my position. They're wondering why, Matthews and several other guys got hurt and several other guys weren't as productive. And I told them before Berube went there, a lot of your stars, since they're going to be asked to be more physical and play that type of Berube game, one of two things or both are going to happen. You're going to see more injuries, more guys getting worn out by the playoffs, and guys not scoring as much. And they all argued with me. And at the end of this season, all of Leafs Twitter and all of the writers up there are talking about how, the Berube system wore the guys out. It was really physically straining on guys like Matthews. And, their offense isn't as good. The team's gotten older. And it just sounds so much like the Blues when he started falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well, first of all, and me and Justin talked about this a little bit ago, and I want to bring this. I will say this about Fowler. This was from Dante's Inferno. Welcome back, Dante. You don't know how much I love having you back on the show, buddy. I was absolutely floored how incredible he slid into this team and absolutely went on a heater, and not just a heater. He was consistent. If he could give us a whole year like that, he is a steal. I agree. Thomas had an issue of passing Kyrou into coverage using a football of passing, Kyrou out skating his coverage. Yeah. Right. I told Guy that Berube was why Austin was injured, and I agree with that.
I wouldn't disagree with you, Chris. I wouldn't, because you watched that. If you watch Toronto very much, I watch so many hockey games. It's insane. If you watch Toronto, he's not a physical player, but he tried. I'll give the guy that much. He did his best last year to fit into Berube's system, and he did it. Did he score as much? No. Did he get hurt? Yes. But anybody that's saying that Matthews didn't try is wrong, because he did. That's just not Austin Matthews' style.
Yeah,
he did. I mean, sorry to cut you guys off.
No, go ahead.
It is not Austin Matthews' style. He did try, but
yes,
I'm not even just going to go that far. It's not Toronto's style. Toronto's style is not a physical style. I don't know what team people have been watching, but Toronto is not physical. Toronto should not even remote. I mean, you should try to be physical. It's hockey, but if you're not a physical team, then don't play the physical system, because you're not a physical team. Toronto is a team that tried to play physical, and I don't think it worked. I mean, it worked for the first round, but they played Ottawa, and Ottawa's an inexperienced playoff team. So, even then, that's just my opinion.
By the way, Brent Burns signs a 1-year deal with
Yeah, that was
the
Colorado.
Avalanche. I didn't
Yeah,
get.
I was
That came out when we first came on. I didn't get to say it because we were talking about so many other things. The Leddy situation surprises me a little bit, not completely, but it surprises me in the fact of what do you do now? Then you bring in Suter. I get it. Originally the money reported was $2 million per, not $4 million per. Right? That kind of shot when I actually saw what it was, that it was double what was reported. I had to take a step back a little bit. Now I get what you guys.
I think what you're going to see, Guy, with the cap go up in the next 2 years, especially not this season coming up, but the 26-27 season,
Yeah.
you're going to see guys, 35, 40-point guys making $4-5 million a year. You just are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the cap's going to go up $5 million a year for the next. And Lance, I'm sorry, but I need to say this. Do you remember a couple of years ago when I said that this was going to happen? And buddy, I love you to death, but you told me, oh no, I don't see that ever happening.
No, you said it was going to be within a year or two. That's what I disagreed with you on.
And it did. It happened within 2 years.
That was back in 2021 when you said that it was after the second COVID season when you said it's going to be 100 million within 2 to 3 years.
23, I said it would happen within 2 years. I said that once they have full season, it'll happen within 2 years. And they jumped it up 4 million and then 5 million. And then they're going up 5 million next year, I think. So I don't know. I just had to toot my own horn there a little bit. Toot, 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 toot.
I mean, regardless of either way, we kind of all get into the same. I think we all kind of agree. The same.
Yeah. No. Lance, you know I love you, bud, right?
I think, but I think, obviously, kind of getting off the topic per se of like, what we're on right now, but like, just the movements of our moves in this offseason. I literally saw, I don't remember the person who posted it, but people on Facebook sometimes they have accounts that do like rankings of like teams, of offseason moves. And I can't believe that one of these pages had the Blues at a D. I mean, I don't understand how you look at that, look at the moves that we've made in the offseason so far and label it as a D. I
like to compare it to last year. The Blues offseason moves were Texier, Joseph, and Joseph. Now compare them to this year's moves. Huge difference.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one at all. I'm not buying that
crazy amount. I love when you're on the show and everything. I think we have some good banter. You find it.
You're freezing up on me, bud.
No, that's just him. He likes to sit like that.
That's why I don't want Kyrou to try. He's a stick and we'll get injured. I'm not sure what he's going with.
He's trying to say he doesn't want Kyrou playing real physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to. He's not that. No. He's not that guy. He's never going to be that guy.
No.
Right?
You know what, Guy? I'll take a guy that's average to a little over average defensively, a forward, and scores 70 points, than a guy that scores 95 points and is terrible defensively.
Yeah. Whoever gave them a D must be smoking some amazing reefer.
Oh, he needs to stay off the crack pipe.
We talked about this last night. We talked about this. You getting a hey Lance from John here.
Hello.
We talked about, and I sat there and I broke down the Blues offseason moves, right? I talked about, we'll get Justin back here in a second. There we go. Hey, Justin, you're back, bud.
Okay, yeah, I could hear you guys, but it was loading, so I guess I froze.
Yeah, no problem. You froze.
I was, like I was saying, Lance, we don't talk very much. Obviously, when you're on the show, I like it because I think we have some good banter. But how I was talking about how fans are, fickle, when we're discussing like Falk and all that. But like, look at the Sundquist situation. What did most Blues fans say about Sundquist? Oh, we need to get Sundquist and make him not a third line center. What
Mm-hmm.
did the Blues do? They made him not a third line center, and what are we doing? We're still bitching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You asked to move this guy down the lineup, get him off the third line, and what did they do? They got him off the third line, and you're still complaining about it. You can't please everybody. I understand it, but like, how can you be just so fickle? It just it
Well,
irritates me.
you know the problem is, Justin and Guy and I talked about this after they won the cup. Is the Blues fan base went huge because all of a sudden they were relevant and they won the cup. So the season ticket sales, the ticket sales went way up, and a lot of those people were never big hockey fans, so they don't have a lot of knowledge with it, and then they're the ones that tend to scream the loudest about stuff. I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying that every new fan is that way, but that does happen a lot of times when a team wins a cup. I was talking to a Boston fan when they won the cup in 2011, and he said the exact same thing happened starting in 2012.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dante's Inferno says, look at it this way. Bergstrand and Suter, if they're on this team, Winnipeg is eliminated by the Blues. Oh, I agree with that.
I'll agree with
I'll
that.
agree with
Put it this way. Put it this way. Well, first of all, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I do agree with that statement. The Blues win that series if they have Dylan Holloway. I not even.
I think they do too. Yep.
I think they take that series if they have Dylan Holloway. But the way I look at it is, I'm gonna miss Foxa, and I know Guy that we were talking about like paying Foxa. I didn't want to pay him, the money he was making, but there was one thing that Foxa did really well for the Blues that most centermen for us didn't do last season. You know what that was, Guy?
face-offs.
Face-offs. Yes, he led the Blues in face-off percentage. So you're gonna miss a little bit of that presence. I think Bjorkstrand and Suter, although they don't do as well on the dot, they are consistent high 40s, I think, in the dot. And I think both of those guys make up for the loss of Fox.
I saw something today about that, and I think it was Korik who had said, that his number was like 48% or 46%, but the Blues are going to work on him with it. And I get that, right?
Mhm.
And I get that. And Kyrou wasn't right after that hit. Yeah, that's a little bit of it too. When Kyrou did that hit. What I was getting at, and I wanted to bring this up, and when I talked about it yesterday, because I don't know if Lance watched, post-watch the show or whatever. I went and I broke down the Blues off season, and I gave it grade, right? I'm going to go through that again. Are you okay with me doing that again, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through mine as well if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll start it. We'll go through. We'll all three break down the moves, right? And we'll start with the Joel Hofer signing. 2 years at 3.125 or 25, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
2 years. Joel Hofer, 2 years at 3.4, right? So 6.8 overall. Lance, what did you grade that signing?
I would say a B plus.
Okay, Justin.
I said an A, a low A.
And I'm with you on that. I like this. For me, I think the number that you spend on goalies until the cap hits 100 mil is $10 million. That's the number I like. Just a little over 10% of your cap, right? And that's basically where we are. I like Joe Hofer. I think he played right at his numbers. I think his numbers can get better. I think he has an upside. I think he's still young enough. He's only 24. We've seen that goalies mature later. 23, 24, 25 is when they start coming into their thing. So him getting 3.4 right now, and really he has 1 year of RFA left, and that's Bennington's last year. Bennington is a UFA. Yeah. So when his contract and Bennington's contract end at the exact same time, I'll go with an A. I'll go with an A. Might even give it an A plus. Right?
I will say before we move on to the next thing, I don't know if you watched or anything, Lance, when we were talking yesterday about the Hofer. I think for me, I think the Blues have Hofer and Bennington, one of the better tandems in the whole league, like as a tandem wise. And I know that's probably going to come off as a little biased. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but I thought the Blues ranked at least top 5 in goalie tandems amongst the league.
Lance?
Yeah, I think they're between 5 and 10. I think once Hoffer gets a little more experience, that number will go up, and unless something happens, and we all know that, we don't know what's going to happen 2 or 3 years from now, but we can kind of guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, and you probably haven't, guy, because you're busy and Justin's busy. But like I said, I watched the Thunderbirds a lot. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you right now. Colton Ellis was the most improved goalie in the AHL last year. If you watched him towards the end of the season, he was getting 40, 50 shots on him in goal consistently. And when it was a low night, it was mid to upper 30s.
Yeah.
Colton Ellis,
Yeah.
if he continues to grow like this and has another good year in Springfield, the Blues are going to be able to move on from him and get and get some good, a good trade for him, or he's going to be the backup when Hoffer takes over. And I seriously think if Joel Hoffer keeps on this arc where he's improving every year, and I think as a former goalie, I've watched it. I've watched him improve every year, and he has a few fumbles here and there, but you see him getting better at his angles. You see him not coming out as much as he used to challenge, and he's coming out just enough, because if you come out too far to challenge a guy, he's going to pass it over, and you're going to be way out of position to get back in time.
Yeah.
And that takes time to learn in the NHL because the NHL game is so much faster than the AHL game. I think eventually, and like I said, things happen, but I see a Hofer Ellis tandem in 3 years.
I can see that too. I also think Zerzenko could push himself into that. Him going home.
He needs to improve a lot. He looked really bad most games I watched him, but every now and again he surprised me and he would look okay, but he really's got a lot of work to do.
They need to get him a Russian on that team to help him out. They need to get another Russian on that team. I know they have Alexandrov, but I don't know how close they were. I'm sorry, Bud. Dustin.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're. I just was gonna say I was in agreement with you guys. I'm excited to see Ellis's growth. Continued growth. I think he's got some real potential there. I think he could be a big time player. Very soon. Especially if he has another good year in Springfield.
And I want to answer this, Ryan. You can watch the Thunderbirds if you go to theahl.com. They have a streaming thing where you can stream all of the team's games, and it's not that expensive. I want to say it's like $80 for the year or something like that.
I think it's $79.99 or $89.99.
Yeah, so it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then they have one where you can watch every team, and it's not that much more. So yeah, that's how you would do it. David AC says, "How you been, man?"
I'm doing okay.
Why is the goalies drafting higher still a risk versus skater? I'm not sure what he's
trying to say. He's trying to say why do people say that it's a higher risk if you draft a goalie real high in the first round as opposed to drafting him in the second, third, fourth, fifth round? Why is it so much more of a risk in when you get a high draft pick with that guy working out or not working out? I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I just think, well, the big thing is because goalies mature slower, right? You're drafting these guys at 18, and you don't start seeing, for the most part, you don't start seeing their return until they're 23, 24, 25, where with a skater, you start seeing the return at 21, 22. So you see the return quicker.
I think another thing that most people don't take into account when drafting, I feel like I feel like a lot of fans look at this and like, yeah, you're excited about the future and everything like that. I think most fans need to really realize that just because you draft somebody doesn't mean it's going to work out. Look at I think a perfect example of this is look at this like Shane Wright situation, right? That guy was going first overall, and then he opened his mouth. You know, he was a dumb kid at the time, and you know he opened his mouth, and then the teams passed on him. And then what has he really done in the NHL?
Yeah, it hurt him.
You know,
it hurt him.
You know, it really hurt his trajectory. He could have been
is he on Seattle's roster now, or is he still in the AHL?
I think he did. I think he did come up a little bit. I'm not very Seattle Kraken a connoisseur here, but I think he did play some games. I think he got a little bit more like leash on Seattle, but that, you know, look at Seattle. Seattle's kind of a middle of the road, you know, just there. But
yeah.
No, I think that's a good example. Shane Wright.
Hold on. I kind of lost my place for a second. No, I'm with you on that. And that does happen. I've seen that. I think he's on Seattle's roster soon. I know he's come up, but I don't know how many games he's got, you know. So then we go. So we're kind of coming up on an hour and a half here, but we go to the next part of this, and we'll cover this. And I don't think we'll cover the free agency part, but we'll cover, or the trade. We'll cover this, the draft. Justin, what is your grade on the draft?
I think for the placement that we had, that we talked about, how they were smart about where they put it. I think I gave the. I think I'm going to stick with my original grade. I think I gave it like a B plus maybe. That was about what I gave it. So I think I'm going to stick with that.
Yes, Lance.
I give it a B plus.
Okay. See, and I'll give you mine here in a second. I'm going to answer this question. Is the captain's position always guaranteed coming in? Once you're named captain, you stay captain until the coach takes it away or you leave the team. Right? It's pretty much set. It's not a season-to-season thing. You get named captain, you stay the captain. Right? And being a captain in the NHL is different than being a captain on any other team and in any of the other leagues. Absolutely different. Right? Now, for me, you look at the draft, and I think a lot of people are looking at it wrong. You look at the draft and say we only pick 3 players. That's not true. In the first round, and I don't have it up on me, damn it.
Yes.
All right, why are you screwing this up? Carbonell, right? In the first round, we picked Carbonell. In the second round, we picked Philip Boberg. In the third round, we picked Justin Holloway. In the fourth round, we picked Texier. In the fifth round, I forget who we picked. The right winger. In the sixth round, we picked Love Armstrong, the goalie. Not a bad pick. In the seventh round, I don't remember what we did with that pick. We traded it away somewhere. But in all actuality, our second, third, and fourth round picks were Boberg, Holloway, and Texier. And that being the case, I'm giving them an A because I think they did absolutely well on a weak draft, that it was okay to not put guys in the cupboard when the cupboard was full. When the cupboard's absolutely full. You okay, Lance?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, your video. You put your video on.
Yeah, I know. I hit it for a minute. Wanted to see how terrible I looked.
Oh yeah. Justin's coming back here in a
second. I've been to I've been to 3 doctors. You know, my cancer doctor, my other 2 doctors, and all 3 of them have told me when I walk in, you know, I hate to say this, I like you, but you look like crap. So I just wanted to see.
You don't look that bad.
Jesus. What did I just walk into?
I've seen you look worse, buddy. So I wasn't going to do this, but now I am. So overall, you look great, babe. Grade overall free agency trade for us so far. Okay. I got to tell you, I'm the trade has not grown on me yet. It's going to take a little bit.
What
Ryan says,
what-
Lance, you're a rusty car.
what trade?
I'll agree with that one.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Bolduc one.
Yeah, the Bolduc.
The Bolduc
Mount
trade
trade.
will only show in time. But
Yeah.
I will say I'm not angry about it because, like I said, the way that Doug described it and explained it out and gave it in detail in simplistic terms, he took a surplus of what Montreal had in right defenseman, and they took a surplus of what we had in wingers, and we made a hockey trade. That's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I get that. I do. But again, I just feel like giving up on Bolduc. I don't know. I mean, I still look at Tage Thompson, right? I still go back to Tage. I would love to have Tage Thompson, right? Can you imagine Tage Thompson with Kyrou and Thomas, what that would have been? 40 something goals from Thompson, 36, 37, 40 goals from Kyrou. Thomas is a 100-point player right there.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing.
Yes, he would have never developed with the Blues. I get that.
Yeah, but it's not with the Blues. He would have never done that with Berube because Berube didn't want to give him a chance. Berube would have stunted his growth, and I don't think, unless he would have all of a sudden broke out years later after Berube's gone, I don't think he would have scored 50 goals a couple years after because Berube was not going to give him the chance. Berube did not like Tage Thompson.
Yeah,
it's a big if. It is a big if, but I also got to make the claim that although, like, yes, it is good to think about in theory, but another thing with Tage Thompson, it was all about, like, he obviously didn't get the chance here.
Berube
but
wouldn't have mattered with Thompson. Well, he had him in the minors, I think. But Berube at that point was just the assistant coach. Yo was the coach then. Mm-hmm. And Yo was a more offensive coach. He wasn't a good offensive coach, but he was a more offensive coach than Berube is. So I didn't mean to jump on you, Scott. I just wanted to clear that.
No, yeah, you're good. I just, for me,
he froze again.
It's obviously he didn't get the chance. But the thing is he gets the change of scenery for Tage Thompson played dividends for him. It's just a typical case of a guy that needed to change the scenery. He got the change of scenery and it worked. And you got to look at it like this objectively. I get it. We talk about the cup, and this isn't like let's praise Berube or nothing because it has nothing to do with that. If you don't make the trade for Tage Thompson, you don't get Ryan O'Reilly and you don't get a cup.
So I heard from one of the guys. So I think it was either Blues Muse or Blues Views, one of the two.
Blues Muse
said that we were not a better team yesterday than we were before yesterday.
That was Blues Muse, I think.
Yeah, and I disagree with that completely. Right? I disagree with that completely. I feel like for the most part the X factor here is Snuggerud, however you want to say it. Snugard.
I call him Snugglebug.
Right? He is not starting the season in Springfield. He is starting the season in St. Louis. He is the X factor. Is he going to give you the 20 goals this season that Bolduc gave you? If he is, the Bolduc trade makes sense. Having Pris Suter in could help cover that. Yes, I do agree with that. But right now, and Snugard. I know I say it wrong. I'm sorry. It's Snuggerud,
Snuggerud.
right?
Snuggerud.
Snuggerud, yeah.
Snuggerud.
And not only that, the other X factor, and I know Lance, is Dvorsky. Dvorsky's the X factor. If he develops like the top 10 pick that he is, he should be, this year should be his year. If he's not playing full time by the end of this year, he's a bust in my eyes. Because this is the time. This is it. And then we've got a couple of their forwards, a couple of defensive we've danced in the last couple of years. Our cupboard is full. We are a better team today than we were at the start of the draft. I believe that.
Yeah, we are. I think.
Oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, I think. I mean, for me, I can't believe that even someone would contemplate putting that out there, that we weren't a better team. I think, like Lance was saying, I think it's like night and day difference if you look at the offseason moves that the Blues did last season compared to what they've done this season. I think it's night and day different. I think for me, I'm not going to sit here and say a bust or anything because I think it takes time, but I will make a hot take, and I'm going to stick with this. If I'm picking either guy who I think is going to work out and who I don't think is going to work out, I think Snuggerud is going to work out, and I think if I'm a betting man, I think he works out more than Dvorsky does. And that's not me knocking Dvorsky. I hope, and I'm willing to take all the slack in the world. Dvorsky can come in and be an absolute monster, and you can just say, hey, Justin, fuck you, buddy. You were wrong. And I'm like, oh, I agree. I praise you. Thank you. But if I'm a guy who's picking who I think is going to succeed and who might falter, I think I'm going to go with Snuggerud over Dvorsky, just in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Dvorsky's 20 years old. You're not a bust at 20. You're just not.
No.
He's only played 2 NHL games, and he's only played 61 AHL games. So he's only played 63 professional AHL or professional games between the AHL and the NHL. And that's not enough to really call a guy a bust. If it's 2 years from now, let's just say 2 years from now, he's still in the AHL, then you kind of look at him and say, hey, this guy was given 3 or 4 years in the AHL, and yeah, he's turned out okay, but he's not the player we tend to be. 63 games and 20 years old, there's a lot of guys 20 years old that end up being pretty damn good hockey players at 23, 25 years old.
Okay. I mean, fair enough, but I'm just looking at that.
I'm not saying he's a bust.
Right?
Me, I'm not. That's
Connor Bedard, 150 games. Oh, I lost Lance there for a second. Leo Carlson, 131 games. Adam Fantilli, 131 games. William Smith, 74 games. The next two above him were a Swiss and a Russian, haven't played yet. Mitch Koff, 80 games. Leonard, who was 8th overall, only has 9 games.
Did you say Ryan Leonard?
Played yet. And then you have Dvorsky, who comes in at 10 with only 2 games. But then you go down to the Buffalo Sabres at 13 with Zach Benson, who I wanted at that number 10 pick, has 146 games and 58 points, -5. That's the guy that I wanted.
Yeah, but guy, 146 games in the NHL compared to 61 games, that's a huge difference. Huge difference.
I get that, but considering that he was drafted 10th overall, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the guys drafted ahead of him are full-time NHL players. And
what have I told you, Guy? I've told you, just because you have a top 10 pick doesn't mean you're going to get a guy that's going to help you in 2 to 3 years. It just doesn't. Like I said, 3 years ago, I don't know if I went over it with you. I went through the previous, and I went back 4 years, and then went back to the previous. I think it was 2022, and then I went back to 2018 and looked at the last 10 years of the top 10 picks. Yeah. More guys were bust than there are very good players. There's some good players, but there were more busts in the top 10 than there were good players.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
top
kind of
10
making my
doesn't
point for me,
guarantee-
Lance. You're kind of making my point for me.
No, I'm not. I'm saying at whatever Dvorsky's number was, it happens. It does happen.
Fair enough.
But the thing is, some of these guys have had 300-400 games in the NHL. Some of them have played, a bunch of games. Dvorsky's played 61 games. I don't ever judge a guy after 61 games in the NHL. I just don't.
Yeah, he's only got 61 games in the AHL. He only has 2 in the NHL.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, you can't judge a guy like that.
Good players during all this. If you guys have covered this, we won't disregard it. We've covered it. The Blues have lost 3 full-time players up to this point. They have lost Fosca, Suter, and Bolduc. Bolduc hurts me the most. See, a lot of people were like, "Oh, we need Fosca on that third." Fosca was not the heart of that fourth line. You could put anybody on that fourth line. I don't know if Leddy was, we're lost. We may lose Leddy. We haven't lost him yet. We may lose him. There's a chance.
Here's the thing. All right, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Good defensemen, young defensemen, are harder to find than forwards.
Exactly.
They are so much harder to find, and the defense in the NHL is the hardest position. This is coming from a goalie, and most people think it's goalie. It's not. It's probably the second, but defense is the hardest position to learn in the NHL. You could have a guy that's 24 and he's tearing it up as a forward. You've got another guy that's a defenseman that's been in the league just as long, and he's good, but he's just not quite there. But at 26, 27, that defenseman, if he's good, has caught way up and become a great defenseman. Because you can ask Chris Pronger, you can ask, guys like that. You can even talk to guys like Makar. He's a very rare guy to come in and was great. Most guys come in and it's hard. Playing defense is so hard in the league. It just is.
Well, Lance, look at just to pile on your idea, but look at how the game is changing though. The game is changing, which makes defense even harder, to learn. With the style that teams play, how skilled everybody is nowadays. So defense is definitely one of the most hardest positions. So I'm assuming, Lance, that you're probably more in agreement with my take. I think it takes time, especially for this trade with Bolduc, but you see it as like, hey, we traded for a guy that doesn't have much experience, but he could be something. There's a chance that he could turn into something. And
and the thing is, it's like we've all discussed it. Leddy and Folks, if we don't get rid of Leddy and Folks contracts don't end for a year or two, a couple of years. So they're going to need young defensemen coming up, and I'm going to tell you, their AHL roster is the only guys that they've brought up recently that are any good are Kessel and Tucker. The rest of their defensemen down there right now are not great defensemen. Now, could some of them turn up to be good? Yes. A couple of the draft picks over the last couple of years, yes. But in 2 years, they're going to need some young defensemen coming in. And do you want to go trade for a guy that's going to cost you $6-7 million? Or do you want to try to get a guy that's young and take a shot at him when you have a surplus of forwards in your system? You've got to take a chance. And like Justin said, we had strength in forwards. We had a bunch of young guys. Not all of them were ever going to make this team. They just weren't. They were going to get traded. That they were going to end up somewhere else after their RFA ended up get offer sheeted. And if you've got a chance to get a guy. He's got great offensive upside right now. He's not good defensively. And anybody that'll argue with me that, just call some of the writers up in Montreal and talk to them. That's one of the reasons why they moved on from him. They didn't feel they needed another offensive defenseman when they already had one. So that's one of the reasons why they moved on from him. There's a lot of fans, just as many as Blues fans, are upset about Bolduc moving than they are about him coming to us. I think it's like Justin said. We had a need, they had a need, and they just met. Am I going to miss Balduke? Yeah, I think he's going to end up to be a good player. But you've got to deal in strengths and weaknesses. When you have a weakness, you have to address it with a strength.
And I do understand that. I do absolutely understand that. It's again, I know I'm but talk about minority. I want to put this up here. Ryan asked a question earlier is he here it is. Am I the only one that doesn't care for the extra logos coming in with the rebrand? I actually like them. I like them a lot.
I like them.
Right. The new STL, I love that. I really do love that. I think that really signal. I mean, we're the blues, and we're not the color blue. We're blues music. That's where we're from. That's what we are, not the color blue. That's why why are you wearing red? You're the blues. Well, we're not the color blue.
Yeah.
And I think by putting these type of logos in there, and I don't have the trumpet one up. I'm still working on that. And I got to get the new note and put it in there somehow, some way. But to me, we're doing the right things. I'm happy with where we are. I'm happy with what we've done. And I think the rebrand is right. I have said that I'm concerned that in a couple of years, people are going to get tired of the powder blues, that we took a special and made it every day.
Well, what the Blues did, almost every team is going to do a rebrand next year. The Blues just did it a year ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
And some teams aren't going to do a huge rebrand, but some of them are going to do major overhauls. And I've always been the type of person that you can like the sweater, you can love the sweater, you can dislike it, whatever, and it matters. But the thing that matters the most when it comes to winning is who's in that damn sweater, who's wearing it, how do they wear it, do they represent your city? And I like the sweaters. I don't understand why people have to hate on a sweater so bad. It's going to grow on us. Did I love it the first time I saw it? I'm like, that's nice. And then the more I see it, like probably you guys, I'm really liking it.
Oh, I loved it when it came. I loved it when it came out. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I'm not gonna get tired of them, but that's just a personal opinion of mine.
Yep. What are you gonna say, Guy?
Lance, first of all, I like the powdered blues. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
My issue with the powder blues is, and I know Justin's like going, da 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 da. He's tired of me here. Come on, it's the way you introduced them. If they would have been introduced as like a third jersey or something like that, to where they were something that was worn consistently, I'd have been absolutely fine with this. But they were introduced for a special event, the Winter Classic. And then you used them again for Bobby Plager's funeral, for Bobby Plager Day. You have used them as a special event. And the way I've likened this, it's you have a restaurant that you go to and they have a special. Every Wednesday is meatloaf or whatever, or foie gras or something that you really like. Wednesdays, lamb-based toasted raviolis at Guy's Italian restaurant. And on Wednesdays, I have to make reservations a month out on Wednesdays because I just can't sell enough. I mean, I make those raviolis all week and sell them all on one day. So all of a sudden, I decide, you know what? I'm just going to make them a regular item. Well, now that I make them a regular item, are they special? Are people going to... I don't sell out Wednesdays anymore. And they don't sell out. But I made as much, I continually made them, but now I'm not selling as much. That's what my issue is. That's where I kind of fall in this. And I'd like to hear how Lance feels about that.
I can understand that. I mean, But there's people like me that if there's a food I like and they have a special, it's like okay, I'm gonna use this as an excuse. I'm not a Taco Bell fan. I think their
Yeah.
food has gone downhill and it's dog food. It's not Mexican food. It's not even American
I'm
Mexican food. Um, okay,
with you. I'm with you.
when they bring an item back, it's really really good, and then they put the item back on the menu. You know, like Guy said, and it's there. If I like it, I'm going to eat it several times a week. Now there are people that won't because, like Guy said, most people go, "Oh, it's a limited time. It's only going to be for a limited time. I better go get that. I better go get that." And then they'll complain and complain and complain, and then it'll become on the menu. And then they're like, well, I can get that anytime. So I understand it from both sides and my father-in-law owned a restaurant. And I'm going to tell you something he did to prove how people are. He had a fish sandwich, fries, and soda, and this was back in the 80s. He would each individually, if you paid for them, would have been $3.39. Okay, so he says, I'm going to see how stupid people are. I'm going to put a special down of $4.19 for a fish sandwich, fries, and a soda. And do you know what? He sold out fish every day he had that special, and if he didn't have the special, he sold a third of it. So a guy is right in some instances. So I do understand what he's saying.
Right. Okay. Justin sent me a text, and I'm with him here. We were supposed to do an hour show. We're in an hour and 45 minutes. So we're gonna wrap this up tonight. We'll finish this with this question from 31 Teeth. First of all, I do say this. How cool would it be to see a cut sheet of all the logos they had to choose from? I would love to see that. I think you were right. It probably would have been really cool. And the last question we're going to go with, how many points do you think the Blues will end with? I'm going to say 98. Lance, I'll let you go first.
100.
100?
Yep.
Justin?
And I'll go 99.
99?
Yeah.
I think it's a little too early to tell that because there's still moves to be made. But I do think that this team, if they click, is a 110-point team. Yes, I said that. If this team clicks, now remember, you've got Snuggerud, possibly Dvorsky, possibly, you've got these guys that if they click, I can see 110 points. And I'm not the only idiot out there. Dante says 117. Call me crazy.
Well, I'm
and not
telling you
only
right now.
not only that, the goalie tandem you got. You have two goalies that can steal games. Yes, I do think that Hoffer can steal games.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if the Blues are in a window where they're 110 to 117 points, I'm a betting man in saying that Robert Thomas had a 100-point season. So, that if that happens, then it could happen. But I mean, if you have guys like Kyrou and Holloway working their magic like they did this season consistently, and Holloway stays healthy, I mean, this team's definitely going to be in the playoffs. That I can say with confidence.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm with you there. A full year of Montgomery. That's why I think, and that's the thing. I think you look at that last year where you didn't have Montgomery and you weren't playing offense for them first 20, 25 games. And now you add that offense in and you look at what they did with that offense and now you have 25 extra games with that offense. Baby, I'm thinking that we're pushing, we're earning some points. Right.
I want to leave everybody with this one question. I want everybody to think about it, and kind of think about it till the next time I'm on or whatever, or you guys can discuss it next time. We all have to think of it this way too. Broberg and Holloway's contract are up after this season.
Yep.
They're going to have to re-sign him. If Holloway has a big year, and I think they'll get 100 points. If Holloway and Kyrou are over 70 points, this team is a 100-point plus team. I just feel they are. We're going to have to stay away from injuries, but I think we need to really look at, and I know Armstrong is because he doesn't look just now. He looks 4 or 5 years down the road. This team, if Broberg and Holloway play well, there's going to be some contracts come off the book and after this season, not a ton, but the Blues are going to have to really pay very well for both those guys. So I think we all need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And everyone, this is Guy Bensing, the Hawaii Blues fan, host of the great Blue Note Fan Report for the last 6 years. And then Lance runs away before I can say thank you. But big thank you, Lance, for joining us tonight. Justin, you have been a wonderful add to the show. You're becoming a great friend. I greatly appreciate the messages you keep sending me. Please don't stop. I want our friendship to grow. Thank you for being on the show. If you got something to say it now, my friend.
Of course, man. I appreciate it, man. You're becoming a good friend to me, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, I will always be thankful for the opportunity that you gave me, and clearly I've taken the ball and run with it. So I'm glad that it is working out for you. That you don't regret it.
Nope, don't regret it at all. Okay, guys. I think it's time for the boys.
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Aloha mahalo, and we will see you the next time on the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, and that is just I couldn't figure out a point. That is Justin Scott over there, and we are your hosts on the show that is by fans, for the fans, and about you, the fans. Aloha.